This is the frame of something that would soon turn into something that I couldn't have imagined that would be something that I built 90% myself. And a bird was something that I welcomed and was appreciative of at this stage because they weren't harming anything, but the next step was this wiring, the first line of defense against birds and critters trying to steal our eventual possible food, which this process resulted in having to bend nails, which spawned a phrase that I would soon hear thousands of times. See, there was a kind of supervisor on duty, one that I called my dad, who told me to bend almost each and every nail. He'd say bend it like Beckham, and his main jobs were telling me what to do and laughing when I miss a nail. But I'd get exhausted with the laughs sometimes because this was hard work, but also rewarding and fun, equally difficult and draining, especially when I went ladder mode for the roof wiring. Then I had to dig out the interior, make it more level, and also clear the grass and the weeds, and I was ironically kind of digging the process, like an interactive workout. VR Planet Fitness IRL kind of felt metaphorical to building a song, layer by layer, gotta keep on stacking together progress, and this must have been what Ed Sheeran was talking about, because we got a shape of a U of soil going on, and the idea of the plan was starting to piece together. Shout out to the lizard for the words of encouragement on it. Now, about over a week later, got some veggies that our neighbor had kindly gifted us, and they started to be planted into the ground, really branching it out. This was about 20 feet by 8 feet long, so we did have a lot of work to go, but now it was time to look across the street where the forest used to be until they chopped them down and built houses, so maybe some deep-rooted feelings in me to want to plant back to the earth and offset those workers' deforestation. But anyway, now back to the task at hand. I had some of them planted. We just kind of stacked up on a bunch of spices and green peppers and jalapeno peppers, tomatoes, broccoli, cucumbers, strawberries, and I could tell that these birds were scoping the scene and fiending for some fresh food, but I realized that they likely just encountered the open door. My license says I'm a red bird, it says it on the card and all, but protecting these plants definitely had my guard up now. Now that it was, planting time, now that it was actually planting time, and I had to take the foliage out of the container and connect them to the soil. I was trying to do the one glove hand and one ungloved hand method to sort of feel the precision in what I was doing, but that did result in just one dirty hand and one clean. But I guess it was worth the thought experiment to realize from here on out that I'll just use both so that I don't have to rinse the hand. Well, I probably still would either way, but anyway. The worms just make me think of my friend's band, Peace Among Worms. Now, you can see the... Hold up. But you can see the garden could be considered complete, but still had a little bit more to do.
A little bit more to do. Always more to do. I'm never bored, dude, because I'm not a dork.
A different day, I transferred these little rocks that we had in our backyard, and I put them in a bucket and then spread them over the walkway. I tried to also do one in the wheelbarrow. It was too hectic because the hill was too steep, which resulted in a very long rooted route around the backyard, and so I just kept going bucket mode after that.
Bucket mode, yeah, what you know about that bucket mode? We gonna grow.
And our first lines of defense against the animals was that the cage on the outside, but then we put up a wind chime for the audio of it, and then Google said that I could sprinkle some peppermint oil on the wood of the garden, so I did that too, and plus we got some of these little wind spiral visual deterrents, so hopefully you should be all set for the most part. But I guess the garden work never really quite completes, since now and onward it's just a matter of maintenance and pulling out the ground ivy and weeds, and also just checking up on them when the plants would be done. Gotta Google when they're ready to harvest, and kind of just keep a scope out for any birds or critters trying to take whatever it does when it does flourish. But I think all the hardest parts are basically done. Is that like 80% construction and 20% gardening, and 100% power of will. But now it's basically just farmer era activated. I've learned lots of skills and expanding my knowledge. It makes me think of the farm that I stayed at for a couple months over a couple years ago. But these days, kind of just building it from scratch. So it's a fun, different thing, and I'm hyped to keep on growing and evolving just like these plants. And I can't wait to have a meal with literally the fruits of my labor. It was a fun process, and keep workshopping good skills. And, onward, and that's about it. That's about it. Thank you for watching.
Also, just for these things.